Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cultured and Committed YouTube channel, aka podcast, whatever you guys want to call it. I am your host, BJ. You guys probably know me by now. Probably not, because I just popped back up out of nowhere. But look, we here. I'm really excited today. Today is Saturday, and I've got some really awesome people with me today. As you can see, there are lovely, beautiful faces on the screen already. I'm just not in the order of beauty, but in the order of who I see first. I'm gonna go around and introduce them real quick. First, I've got Steph Jones, guys. She is the host of Sayla Says. Look at that gorgeous smile. Steph, anything you want to say to everybody, and tell us the name of your podcast again, and where we can follow you, all that good stuff.
Yes. First of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invite. Glad to get into this lively discussion. Yes, so I'm Steph Jones on social media. I am Lilac Calandra. That's a combination of my favorite color, my middle name. And I have a podcast called Sayla Says. It's gonna be my new baby. I've had a couple in the past, but just really talking about mental health things in every area. I am a therapist and a mindfulness life coach. So, talking about mental health is super important to me, and that's why I want to talk about, what are the red flags in dating look like. I really want to emphasize and focus on us putting mental health practices, really good ones, back in the dating scene. I feel like they've been taken out, so it's time for us to reintroduce them so we can find our people and find our person and be in a healthy, growing relationship. So happy to join the conversation. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome, and I'm so glad that you're here because I think the mental health aspect is always the perspective that is needed to be added. But moving right along, we've got James Glover in my bottom left. Look, I'm left-handed, so I'm always getting my James, how are you today? He's got a podcast, Real Talk Monday. He's got a lot of hats that he wear, but James, tell us about Real Talk Monday.
First off, I feel like I got strapped today, but I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and have this discussion. I am one of the hosts of the award-nominated show Real Talk Monday, and excited to be on here to have this discussion about red flags in dating and help us kind of know the red flags so that we can avoid them and get to those green flags so that we can find our purpose partner. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok under James H. Glover III.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And I will come back and make sure the links are dropped down in the description so everybody can get to you guys real easy. Last but not least, look at Miss Parrish over here, guys. I told Parrish right before we went live, she was doing, and I was like, she looks so classy, like she just got it all together.
Oh my God.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I love that part. But she was like, anyway, guys, we have Parrish Hodges. Parrish's podcast is On Par with Parrish. And look, I'm going to turn the mic over to her for a moment so she can introduce herself and tell us how we can be connected with her and a little bit about what she does.
Well, I am Parrish, and my podcast is on YouTube. It's called On Par with Parrish. You can check that out. Also, like, I don't sell or make anything, but if you like have alcohol or any kind of food, I can write up a review. So I also do that. You can follow me on all my social media at Parrish Hodges. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also excited to talk about the red flags. I think Will and I might bump heads a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Will. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm excited. I'm there. When it comes to red flags, like, I've put up with a lot, but now it's like, oh, that's it. No more chances. But yeah, I can't.
Yeah, that's a little bit scary, I'm going to say, because I feel like maybe scary is not the word that I want to use, but sometimes when people have that point where they say, this is it, they think they've taken a lot, but really that person only messed up one time and you went,
at my age, one time is enough. That's enough for me.
Yeah, so okay. Guys, we're just gonna jump right in. And if you feel compelled to speak first, after I read the scenario, go ahead and jump in, but we want to go around so everybody gets to add their 2 cents in. Okay, let's get this party started. So, the first potential red flag is constantly checking their phone. So, your date or your partner spends more time on their phone than engaging with you during your time together. What does this behavior say about their priorities and their interests getting to know you? So, is it a red flag? Is it not necessarily always a red flag? James, you look like you got something you want to say.
Oh man, that's funny. The last serious relationship I was in, it was my birthday weekend, and I had taken my girl out to meet some of my cousins, and we was out eating and having a great time. And when my cousins and I get together, we're cracking jokes, we're having fun. And I knew this was her first time meeting them, so I was trying to include her in the conversation as well. So after the dinner was over, I'm leaving out. I get in the car with one of my other cousins and we're leaving. And she's like my god sister as well. So I'm asking her, I'm like, all right, look, this is your first time meeting her. What would you think about her? Like, I'm thinking this might be wifey. What you think about her? She's like, you want my honest opinion? I'm like, yeah, keep it honest with me. She said, sister girl ain't gonna be around here for too much longer. I said, why do you say that? She said, the whole time we was at dinner, while we sitting here laughing and talking and getting to know each other, baby girl couldn't even get off of her phone for 5 seconds. She said, now, if I'm out here eating dinner with a man that I'm with and his family, and I know this is my first time meeting his family, and I know he's family oriented, I'm going to make sure that his family has my full attention. Fast forward, a couple of months later, we break up. After that, a few months later, she ended up engaged to be married to someone else that I was actually good friends with. So it it was what it was.
Oh, well,
So
I'm
definitely a
sorry.
red flag. Definitely a red flag for me.
Okay.
Mm.
Steph, you guys.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll jump
Oh,
in. So I'm always on my phone. Like I try not to be, but like a lot of my business, I'm talking to client. Like I am always on my phone. I am scrolling. I am just always on it, and I'm trying to determine if I was in a setting where maybe I didn't know anyone, and maybe I was nervous, and I have been in settings where I've been nervous, or so being on my phone is a comfort to me. It makes me
mhm.
less nervous. It makes me feel less anxiety. You know what I mean? So and let's not even talk about what happened after the pandemic to people's social skills, right? They just went down because everyone was by themselves. So I don't know. It's case by case. It's case by case. You know what I mean? In the scenario we got, with James, is like my potential woman was always on her phone. She could be nervous. She could be scared. She could have been afraid. She's meeting a whole bunch of new people. What did everyone do to engage her? You know what I mean? That's my question. But either way, anyway, um, you know, but I don't know if it's a red flag. It has to be case by case because it could be one end of the spectrum, like you're talking to someone else, your thoughts are somewhere else, you're not engaged, or it could be like I am very nervous and I need my phone to give me comfort for this moment, and that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm saying case by case. I can't give a definitive answer because I know I'm always on my phone, and if I feel nervous, sometimes I just pick it up because it's comforting. But also, if someone tries to engage me, then I'm gonna put my phone down. So it's 50-50 for me.
And I could say we did try to engage her in the
Okay.
conversation. Like they was like when I noticed there was like a chance for her to jump in the conversation, I'd be like, you remember when this happened to
Mm.
us or something like that? And she would answer and then she would get right back on her phone within
Oh,
5 seconds later. So that's why I said it was like a red flag for me.
yeah.
Okay. Parrish, what about you? What are your thoughts?
At first, I was going to say maybe yellow, not really red. But after hearing James's story, I don't know. But I also agree with Steph. It's case by case. I'm also, a kind of a shy person. So when I'm out in public, like if I feel nervous or anxious, I I'll look down at my phone. But at the same time, if I'm with my man, he's gonna have my full divided attention. I'm not gonna be on my phone like 100% of the time, especially when I'm meeting your family for the very first time. Yeah, I'm going to be scared, but I'm not. I'm gonna try to get past those nerves and be more engaging because if you're with me and you're on your phone the whole time, I'm gonna feel like I'm not interesting to you. Like, am I boring you? Do you not want to be here? Do you not want to talk? You rather be somewhere else? That's how I would feel. So it's kind of like a yellowish, reddish flag. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would say I agree with you, and not James. You do really have a really good point, but I do kind of lean towards more what Steph and Parrish say. Also, um, it could definitely be a red flag, but it's not always because I too am very nervous and shy around people I don't know, and my phone is kind of like my security blanket. However, I am aware of, like, if you're on a first date, I'm aware that that's the signal that it's seeing. So I'm not going to do that in a setting like that. Um, Even though I'm going to feel the urge to each and every time, I'm going to try to do that. And like Steph said, if you can engage that person or something, sometimes it kind of helps them get through that. But if you were on a date and the entire time, and you were there, so the perception that I get from how you described it is, it seemed like she maybe didn't have a lot of interest in being present in that moment. I very much, when I'm with somebody, even with you guys right now, I want to be very present in that moment, but you could still be nervous, and it's a difference. Okay, I'm here and I'm a little bit nervous versus I don't want to be here. So I'm not saying that was your experience, but
Right.
yeah. So I
Yeah, I get that.
definitely know it comes across as a red flag in a lot of situations. So, um, James, what would be your advice to women who are going on dates and if they feel the urge to look, he looking back like, why is she putting me on the spot? What would be your advice to women when they're, going on dates and they have that urge if they're shy or anxious and they want to reach for the phone?
What I would suggest is let the guy know, like, hey, I am a little nervous. So if for some reason every once in a while you might see me look down at my phone, this is my security blanket. It's not that I'm
Um,
not interested in you. It is just that, hey, this is my security blanket. This is what I do when I'm nervous or something like that. And I would agree with y'all. It's on a case by case basis. It would be like to be determined. So, and I would say that it's also the man's responsibility to make that woman feel comfortable in those situations as well. Because as men, we know that one of our responsibilities is to be the comforter and the provider. So we are supposed to provide that comfort for you all in every situation that y'all go into and to protect.
Love it. Would you guys like to add anything else before we move on to the next scenario?
I want to say something really quick. VJ, I like that you mentioned the awareness. Like, it is important that we have awareness. If we know that we're always going to be on our phone, and then we know that, like, that's how it will come off, we have to be aware of that. And so it is going to take like a training. Like, I want to reach my phone, but I'm like, nope, I want to be present. Or every time I want to reach my phone, I'm like, nope, I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to try to answer what someone said. I feel like we fail a lot because we're not aware of what we need, what we have going on, and what we need to get out of it. So this conversation is helpful in that way. Awareness is key. That's the first step. Your eyes are opened, and then you can recognize, maybe I need to stop doing that because I want to show this person that I'm interested.
Absolutely. I agree. Anything else before we go to the next scenario? Okay. I see a big smile, but she didn't say nothing. She tired of me putting her on the spot. So okay, so the next scenario that we want to know if it's a red flag in dating, being disrespectful to service staff. Your date is rude or disrespectful to waiters, bartenders, or service staff. What does this behavior reveal about their character, and how might it foreshadow their treatment of you in the future? Who wants to go first?
That's a red flag.
It's a red flag.
Yeah. I can't defend this one at all. Like, you should not be rude to anyone. To me, when you're rude to like your wait staff, to me it makes me feel like you're belittling them, or you think you're better than them, you think what they're doing is not important. Like, I actually just watched a clip today from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Did you see that clip where
Yes, yes.
being rude to the waiter, right? And like Carlton had to put her in her place. I mean,
Yep.
it turned her on, but he had to put her in her place. And I don't, that would be probably the first and only date that I would go on with you, because if you're rude to them, more than likely down the line you're gonna be rude to me, and I just don't want that. So yeah, being rude to your servers, no, it says a lot about your character.
Yeah.
It doesn't say anything good. So that's a
Yeah.
red flag.
Right.
I'm gonna go ahead and jump in and say I have to agree with you, Parrish. I think it's definitely a red flag. For me, it's incredibly important how you treat other people. You know, I've always said for me, character traits are bigger than anything else when it comes to dating. And you know, everybody has their traits that they prefer, but again, how you treat other people, that is the big one of the biggest things for me, and especially how you treat people who you think are beneath you. So typically you're going to think the wait staff is beneath you because they're serving you, and I'm not saying they are, that's what some people think. And you're going to think they're serving you, they're here to wait on you and provide you what you need. But if someone of influence or someone of power walked in, you're not going to treat them that same way. Like, you need to treat everybody the same way, as if they were the same social class, the same financial, whatever. But so, yeah, it's definitely a red flag to me if you cannot treat people who you perceive to be beneath you the same way.
Yeah, I would agree. Two things I'm thinking about. One, I'm like, the person is reckless, messing with someone who's making your food or something you consume, and you're being rude to them. You're reckless. You have no behavior.
Mhm.
That to me shows that you don't think in the future. Like, I'm not trying to be deep, but I have to think like that. Like, you're not even thinking of futuristic things. This person, oh, what's up, bro? This person is like, oh, I'm gonna be rude to them because I think they're beneath me, but they're making your food. I used to work in food service.
Mm.
Listen, you got to pray because people are not okay in the head, and so when things happen, things happen. It also lets me know this too, that they don't know about networking. How many times has
Oh,
either one of you been so kind to someone and you've been blessed and favor has just been given to you? You got a free
yeah.
dessert, you got a gift card, you had something comped because you were nice. That means you are reckless and you don't know the power of networking with the people that you think are below you. And they know that we think, oh, they're above me. Even if you don't think it, it's just a common thing.
Mhm.
Wait staff believe that everyone thinks they're above them. When you show them that, oh man, you're great, you're awesome, I appreciate you. Do you know how nice they'll be? So if you're being rude to them, yes, it's a blaring red flag. You're not thinking of what could happen in the future. Something could happen to your food, and then you miss out on something free you could get, or just a blessing. You know what I mean? So that's where my mind starts going.
Yeah. No, I agree, and that's a good point you made. Absolutely.
For
James,
me,
what are your thoughts?
for me, it's definitely a red flag for real. Like, I remember a couple of months ago, I had went to a restaurant and I was in line waiting on my food to pick it up, and this guy was literally yelling, belittling this woman, and I'm sitting here like, boy, you sitting here yelling at this woman, and she has all of your food right there in her hand, and like, not only your food, but all of our food that's in this line, like my food too. Like, what? So what I did was I said it where he could hear it as he was getting ready to walk out. I said it as he said, so he could hear it. I paid for my food and I gave her a $10 tip for, and I said, I said, for putting up with what you just put up with, you deserve it. And she's like, I appreciate that. She said, I'm used to dealing with people like him. She said, but nobody's really ever done this for me putting up with it.
Mhm.
I'm like, you deserve it. But for me, it's if you're belittling the wait staff, you ain't even thinking about my health because they can get mad at you and be spitting in my food and your
Mhm.
food. And I'm sitting there wondering why my food is tasting all nasty. And it's because you can't keep your mouth shut? No,
No, yeah, that's crazy, and I don't like to be with people who are that way too for the exact same reason. But the biggest reason is you just don't treat people any kind of way. I don't care who it is. You have to have respect and empathy and understanding for people. Yeah, that's definitely a red flag. I think we all agree on it. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next scenario. So flirting with others. Okay, your date or your partner engages in overt flirting with other people in your presence or even behind your back. What does this behavior communicate about their commitment and boundaries in a relationship? Who wants to go first?
I'll go. One time I've only had really one serious relationship, seriously, and we went to New Orleans, right, on a little vacation, and we were in a restaurant, one of the many restaurants there, and I was speaking to him, but I noticed his eyes kept going over to someone else. So I'm like, I'm from up north, so I turned around, I'm like, what's going on? What's happening? I was like, do you want to go over to that table? Because there was a woman, that obviously he was attracted to. He kept looking and looking her up and down, and she was making eye contact. So I'm like, whoa, that is a red flag. I mean, it just shows complete and total disrespect to you, to whoever you're with. It's like, man, you don't even respect me enough to just maintain that sense of like, oh, I'm gonna respect you enough not to flirt. Now, so I'm naturally flirty, right? Like, oh, I'll do a little
Mhm.
smile, this. But like when you said overtly, like it's the overtness that's like, ugh, that's doing too much, right? You can be kind to someone, you could be nice to someone, you could say hi, a little wave. But if you're with someone and you're actually physically with them, like you have to put a stamp on that. And because it shows like maybe you're just not ready to be in a relationship because you're
Mhm.
obviously flirting with this person and you're doing this in my presence. What do you do outside of my presence? You're
Yeah.
doing this when I'm here? What are you doing when I'm not here? Nah, red flag on the play. You gotta go. You gotta go.
Well, and so I'm gonna jump in because okay, I agree. I think that there are some people who are just naturally outgoing, naturally, friendly. And if that's your partner or if that's you, you know, that's who you are, right? It doesn't mean that you want this complete stranger. Um, but I think you should know your partner better than anybody, right? Theoretically, you should know them better. And I think for me, the biggest thing, if I saw you doing it and it made me uncomfortable, I want to, have a good enough relationship with you to say, hey, that makes me uncomfortable. Now, if it continues after that, then obviously it's a problem. And it's not a problem solely because they are flirting, but it's a problem because they're doing something that makes you uncomfortable and they are aware of it and they keep doing it. So, for the people out there who are naturally flirty, um, I want to leave room for them, for you to be you, right? Because you shouldn't really always have to change yourself to accommodate other people. But at the same time, if you're going overboard, like you said, Steph, and it's overt, then you probably need to scale that back. If you in a relationship or you out with someone, it can be disrespectful. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, I'll go. Um, we're breaking up. That's a huge red flag for me. Like, first of all, not only are you flirting, but you're flirting in front of my face. That means you don't respect me at all. Because if you want to flirt with somebody else, okay, go over there. We can break up. You can be free. You can do whatever you want. I shouldn't have to tell you that that bothers me. That's common sense. If you flirting in front of my face, I already know what you're doing behind my back. Because I guarantee you, if I was with you and they see me flirt with another man, that's gonna be a big problem for them. So why would you think it's okay to do it to me? Like I can't do it. I don't. There's no such
Can
thing
I
as
ask you a
flirting.
question? Because I know sometimes as women, let me not project on all women, but I feel like sometimes as women, we can be kind of sensitive if we see our man having almost any conversation with especially anybody of the opposite sex, right? And I know it don't take much for me, and he could be like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I'm like, "That's overt that he is doing that."
Oh yeah.
So I feel like I have to scale that back and be like, okay, is it really being disrespectful? Is it real? Like, you know, because I think about my husband, he's such like a social butterfly, and he'll even throw me in the conversation, but I'm like, why are you talking to these people? We don't know them. So and that's always, I'm not gonna say always, but that's kind of always been a thing for me when you know, it doesn't take much for me to feel like, why is he still talking to this lady? And if I'm being honest with myself, most times it's been innocent most times, but there have been those situations where it's been overt. Like if somebody walked by and they head turned and
Yeah.
that's too much. Like you got to go.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
okay with them having conversations with other women, friendly conversations, stuff like that. But like you said, if a person walks by and they looking back or they constantly looking at that person and making comments on like what they look like and stuff like that. 'Cause I know the difference between like having a friendly conversation and
yeah,
flirting. Friendly conversation I can deal with. But if you're flirting, to me that means you want to do
yeah,
something. So, okay, you can go ahead and do it, but I'm not gonna stay with you. That's
yep.
my thing.
Deuces, adios, see you later.
And that's what one of my brothers said in the comments. And James, I want to hear what you have to say. You know, you're our male representative. But one of my brothers said that in the comments, like there's a difference between exactly the flirting and the kindness. Let's not conflate the two. Like
Hmm.
flirting is with an intentional purpose. I want to get with you, I want to do something with you. I have an end goal in mind. Being kind, it's something different. So yeah. Oh, my other brother.
Thank you, thank you. James, what you got for us?
For me, if a woman is flirting in my face, yo, okay, look, like said over here, look, I already know what you're doing behind my back. So now, if we just having a conversation, if she's having a conversation with a guy, okay, that's fine. Because with what I do as well, there are gonna be times where I have to have conversation with the opposite sex.
I was
So
just about to say that. I didn't want to cut you
yeah,
off, James, but
yes,
respectfully, I know the kind of work that you do, and you have to talk to people a lot, and you
oh
got to
yeah.
talk to women a lot,
Oh man,
and
when I tell you the woman that gets with me is going to have to be a strong woman and have to understand the fact that, okay, bet I understand they are calling you and I understand that they are beautiful, but I understand also that you do not want every one of them that call your phone. I understand that. So I mean, for me, it goes back to having that trust, but it also goes back to being the man as well. I cannot violate that trust as well and put myself in any position to where the woman, or vice versa, the woman puts herself in a position to where this trust is questioned.
thank you, James. Do you have any advice for women who find themselves, like you say, the woman you get with, she gonna have to be real strong, right? what advice do you have for women who, because I think there's something that a lot of women potentially struggle with, right?
Oh,
You
definitely.
know, being a little bit insecure, especially if they think their man might be flirting. I'm not going to say cheating because cheating is a whole other thing and that's
Oh,
inappropriate.
yeah,
You're not supposed to
for
do that.
sure, for
But
sure.
if they kind of perceive that person that might be a little bit flirtier than they like, what's your advice for them?
My advice to them is fix your crown, princess. Your fix your crown, queen. Your pick your head up, queen. Your crown is falling. Like pick it up. Like you are beautiful already. If a man is with you, he automatically already has what he wants. He is
Mhm.
not. Now, I notice I said a man and not a little boy, because a
Mm.
little
Okay.
boy is going to be looking at 15 or 20 others to add to his roster. A grown man is going to pick at one out of the bunch and be like, you know what, let me build my empire with this one. Let me take what I do great, take what she does great. We're going to put it together and we're going to build an empire and start generational wealth with just that. So just
Mhm.
know your self worth, know your worth, know what you're bringing to the table, and know that if he wanted them other women, they would have had a chance.
Boom. There you have it.
Mic
I
drop.
love it.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. Okay. I'm gonna go on to the next scenario. And the next scenario, we are in an age of social media, right? Everybody's on social media. So the scenario is if your partner does not want to show you on social media, on their profiles, is this a dating red flag? Now I got something to say about that one, but I'll let you. Oh, y'all want me to go first?
Yeah.
um, so I'll tie it into personal experience. For me, it is a red flag. Okay, or it could be a red flag, especially if we're in the context of you're otherwise active on social media. If we're out on dates and you're posting about being out but you're given the image or the perception that you're alone, that is a huge red flag to me. Um, I was in a situation like that where exactly that happened. And I remember sometimes when I used to want and need advice, I would kind of talk to older women because I always kind of felt like, you know, if you're a young woman, I'm not saying that this is, you know, completely valid, but I kind of felt like if you're a young woman, you probably in the same stage I'm at. Like, let me get a little bit more, you know, wisdom from a situation from somebody who, yeah. So I remember older women would say, "No, VJ, that's not a problem. He with you, you know, that shouldn't be a red flag for you." But it was for me. I tried to not make it a red flag, but it was. And then when you find out later on it was what it was, then that's your confirmation, right? So for again, I'm gonna come back to it. For me, it's a red flag if I see you, you know, putting a message out because sometimes we put messages out without saying anything. So if you're putting pictures out, if we are out on a nice date or something, and you just posting it like it's just you by yourself, that's a red flag. Why you don't want to show us together or whatever. And you will find somebody who likes what you like. So after that, the person that I got with, they posted me. I wasn't even asking them, and I really didn't want them to because I'm like, I need to be able to pick the picture you post. But that made me feel like, oh my gosh, this guy's really proud of me. He really, like, he's really digging me. Like, that made me feel good that the person would do it without me asking. And it made me feel really bad that the other person, it was almost like they go out their way to not post me. Again, I know everybody's not going to agree with me. Some people don't even need that. They don't care about that, but I do, especially if you're otherwise active on social media. So it could be a red flag. Crickets. Really?
I'm like, I'll jump in very quick. To me, it's so hard, because social media is such a beast now. You post someone and then you let someone into your life in that way. You might not want to. But then to your point though, I've seen really cute photos where people like just post a hand, you know what I mean? Or just like a little shadow of two, you can insinuate, you can give a hint that something's going on. You don't have to, Brian. Oh man, I'm so sorry. Everyone who's in the chat is just cutting up. But no, but
I love
sometimes
it.
it's hilarious. Sometimes people don't want to post because you don't want people in your business, right? People can just run a story up and down. You want to kind of keep your privacy. But then on the flip side, maybe you have had a lot of girlfriends or boyfriends, and maybe you have had a lot of people that you've posted on social media before, and it just doesn't look good, right? So now you're with someone else.
Yeah.
People are, we care about what people think about us no matter what. And people are like, oh, this is his fifth woman he's posted on here, man. So it's up and down. For me personally, I'm fine with the little cute, like maybe two hands, or like that you're
Yeah.
on a date with someone, but I don't need to be posted all over the place. You know what I mean? And I'm a very private person, so
Okay.
I don't want people in my business in that way. But I understand why people do. And I'm gonna say this last thing. Sometimes people posting all the time in these relationships, they're not even in a good space. It's just the
Yeah.
social media. We
Facts.
can't we can't determine it by how many people post or don't post. Some of the most happy people don't post at all. And yeah, so you have to just measure it.
Brian in the comments said, I don't even post my mama. I
Yo,
love it.
Oh
you have to
my
kick him off. He's
god.
getting kicked
I
off.
love it. He like, look,
Only
he's
Brian.
right here.
Only Brian. Only Brian.
Listen, y'all
Cause he
pray
like,
for him.
ain't nobody getting posted. Not even my
Only
mama.
Brian.
Parrish, what you got for us? Is it a red flag?
So for me, it's a red flag and it's from a personal experience. I'm also a private person, but there's a difference between keeping your relationship private versus no one knowing that you even exist. So if I'm with, okay, you don't have to post me all day, every day. I'm not asking to be up and down your timeline, but people need to know, hey, we together. And the
Yes.
fact that people don't know that I exist, and every time I say something about it, you get defensive, that's a problem for me. Okay, we can keep it private, but people still gonna know, okay, we're together. Like you want to post and tag people and everything, but when I make a post and I tag you in it, and then you remove it from your timeline, I have a problem with that because what are you hiding? Like, why do you not want people to know? What are you doing behind my back? So for me, it's a red flag for me, just from personal experience. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
James, what do you got for us?
For me, I could see it on both ends of the spectrum. For me, number one, for me, with everything that I do via social media, I don't want to. There's some things in my life that I want to keep private, and I want to have just for myself. So for me, I don't want to be that guy that's posting this woman if we just dating and we haven't even confirmed if we in a relationship or anything like that yet. We just going on dates. I'm not really gonna be posting you on my social media like that because of the simple fact of the minute I post, I can get 5 likes on a post that I post of me by myself of just like a motivational word. Let me post a photo of a woman on my page with me standing behind her. I'm getting 50 likes. I'm getting text messages. My mama's getting text messages. Who is this hooked up with him? And they done created stories in their head that we engaged to be married, we married, all that. And I'm like, what? Like it ain't even like that in all seriousness. So it's like for me, until I know what it is, I prefer not to post it on Facebook. That's just my
Well, in
Mm,
my
opinion.
situation, we knew what it was, but
mm,
Okay.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Look, so I'm just gonna say, if you with somebody, you ain't gotta post them every day, but you better not be hiding me, and you need to at least make one post. I don't care. You can call me childish. You can
Let
call
it be
me.
known.
You could. It could be a picture of a silhouette of me, or
Right.
You know, look. You need, especially if you active on social media. I don't care if you're not active and you ain't posted since 2020. I get it. You not really on there like that. But if you posting everything else, but no, it's gonna be a red flag to me. I'm sorry. I try to dress stuff up and be in the middle ground, but yeah, that's a red flag for me. You got to do something. I think. Okay,
Yeah.
we gonna
Now, in
move
your
on.
situations, I can see where that would be a red flag. For real, I can see it.
Yeah. Well, and a moment ago, like I asked you for advice to give to women, but I think this is a good opportunity for women to give men advice also,
Please,
because
please.
you see the importance of it. Like I think we all said the same thing without saying it exactly the same. Steph said, "Look, you can post a hand picture, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Two
post a hand."
glasses at dinner, two plates,
Yeah,
just so you know. That's all I know.
we all saying the same thing. I said, look, I'm cool. You can do a silhouette. You don't have to look. You need to let it be known that have someone that you're happy with about this, and that's it can be that vague, but don't just be playing around, playing in our face like we don't exist, because our feelings gonna get hurt, and we're gonna be ready to move on. Sorry, James.
And still flirting on social media, that's the thing too. Like you post it so people can know, hey, this person is off the market. Unless you want to be off the market and on the market at the same time, we have to look at intention and motive. Why would you
Mhm.
not want someone to know that you're involved? Are you trying to be with someone else? Are you trying to keep your options open? Like all that comes into play.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Look, somebody in the bottom left, it don't look too impressed, so we gonna move on. Cause yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, the next scenario is avoiding discussing the future. So your partner, your date seems apprehensive to talk about future plans and avoids commenting or committing to anything long term. What are the potential reasons behind their reluctance, and does this impact building a relationship? Is this a red flag for you guys?
I'll go first. It's
Yeah.
definitely a red flag for me. I mean, we grown, we both grown. Why are we sitting here playing around? Like
Yeah.
we both say we know what we want out of life. Why are we sitting here playing? So I say within 5 months of us dating, we ought to already know where we're heading in the next couple of months. Like we ought to know, okay, bet by this time next year we want to be at this stage. By this time after that, we want to be in this stage. We got to have a timetable, or else we ain't gonna know where we're going.
I love it. Mhm.
I agree with him. At my age, if we don't have plans for the future, let's not waste our time. Let's just find somebody else or just be single. Like I have been in a situation where I've tried to talk about the future, and then that person, like, they're just like, oh, I'm just living in the moment. Okay, but what about the future? Like, what plans? Like, okay, marriage, kids, home. And it don't even have to be that deep. Just something. Don't just say, oh, I don't know. I'm just living in the moment. Okay. Like, you wait. So that means you don't have a future. You don't see me in it. So we just wasting our time pretty much. And like James said, after a few months, you already know where you see yourself with that person. You know, if like, oh, this is a person I can settle down with, stuff like that. So if we've been dating for a few months and I ask you and you have like no idea what we're gonna be, where we're gonna be at that point, then I just feel like we're wasting our
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it has to be a practical future talk. If you are a man trying to talk to me and you're living at home with your mom, no shade to you, right? Things are going on. You're living at home with your mom, you don't have a job, like you're trying to look for a job, and you're talking about let's get married in 4 to 5 months. Friend, we have to talk about what our future looks like, right? Because sometimes we open ourselves up, and here's where therapist Lilac comes in, right? We sometimes open ourselves up to narcissists because they'll love bomb us and they'll say, "Oh, I love you so much. Oh my gosh, we're gonna get married. I'm gonna get you a house. I'm gonna get you a big ring. I'm gonna do all this stuff for you." And we allow that to cloud our thoughts. And 6 months down the road, we have given them our money, we have given them our time, our resources, and we're no closer to the future that we talked about. So I'm not trying to pop anyone's bubble. I love talking about the future in a practical manner where we can both measure it. Where am I in my life? Where are you in your life? And I'm all about faith too, right? But don't give me any pipe dreams, right? Don't give me any fluff so that you can try to endear me to you. Nah, man. This is what we're saying about red flags. Be cautious and be careful, because anyone who's going to try to puff you up with all these futuristic dreams and doesn't have the means to do it, you in for a world of trouble. I'm speaking from personal experience, right? Like, ugh. Let's talk about the future for sure, where we both are. Is this something we can actually do? We're talking about 5 months, 6 months. Don't be out here just like, oh, we're just talking. We're in a situationship. No, not at my big grown age. Nah, we have to have some concrete stuff, but let's keep it measured. Like, what are we talking about? Don't try to fluff me up, because once that red flag goes up, it's hard to take it back down.
It's yeah. No, I agree. I actually agree with all each and every one of you that it definitely is a red flag, especially if you are ready to talk about the future and that person isn't. So I think sometimes, people, depending on like the foundation of the relationship, sometimes you can meet somebody and you already kind of know that this ain't, long term. And if that person is feeling like, oh, there's potential for this to be long term, but you feeling like it's not, then you're not going to ever be ready to have no long term conversation with them. And it just goes back to, that communication and knowing, saying what you want. My biggest thing, I would tell anybody this, my son, my daughter too, because I have a son and a daughter. Um, just just be truthful about your intentions. Like if you are dating and you're gonna date multiple people and have fun, say that. Don't date somebody and they're thinking you guys are exclusive. And I know a lot of times people are like, well, I didn't say it. Well, you maybe didn't say it, but sometimes withholding information, that's still not being truthful too. So, be a good a good steward of people's hearts and people's feelings. If you know somebody feeling you like that and y'all not ready and you not feeling them like that, let them know so they can make the decision. Well, no, it's not a future with this person. Because otherwise, if you are for anybody else, that is definitely a red flag, if you don't be ready to talk about the future. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with you. You just don't see a future in this relationship, but you got to say that. You got to let people know that you don't see a future with that relationship. So it's definitely a red flag. If you ever find yourself in a situation, and I'm speaking for personal experience, where you are ready to talk about the future and discuss plans and that person not, I probably would run. I'm not even trying to be funny, because you can wait for them to get on board, but it's kind of like a gamble that you're going to be taking. Um, yeah, I just feel like yeah, don't waste your time with that. And I know it takes some people longer than others, but I will also say, for me, also got a lot of security out of when my person talked about the future and he did what he said he was going to do.
Hmm.
I didn't know I even needed that. But and I will be honest, there was days in the beginning when my person, he said, He was already ready to talk about marriage. He was already knew that he wanted to be in this long-term relationship with me. And I'm a little bit more cautious. It took me a little bit longer. And I really appreciated he felt like that though. I know we have to be careful, like Steph said, some people can love bomb you and this and that. But I personally, in my situation, I got a lot of reassurance out of him talking about it, because it's typically the woman talks about it. But when you find a guy who, how they used to say back in the day, a man know almost immediately, he know really quick if that's somebody he want to be with. So when I finally had that experience, I was like, oh, this is what they talking about. And everything, he said he was going to do, it might have taken some time, but he did it. So yeah, in my opinion, it's a red flag, especially if you're wanting more and that person's not talking about it, and especially if that person is a man, because they know pretty quick, if you ask me. Anybody else want to come in on that before we move on? I know I got on my soapbox a little bit. Okay, so I'm just gonna do one more. Oh, did somebody say something? Okay. I'm just going to do one more scenario today because I want to be respectful for you guys' times, even though we've got a lot more on this list. If you guys want to have a part two, let me know. We're going to make it happen. But the last scenario we will talk about today is withholding affection. So your date is, or your partner is consistently withholding physical affection, emotional support, and or intimacy. Um, what are the factors that contribute to this behavior, and how can you navigate the potential impact on the relationship if you feel like this is truly a red flag? Anybody want to comment on that?
I'm getting my thoughts together. It is a red flag, but it's like, uh, okay, so like with me, how can I put this? I don't know. I don't want to say I'm a baby, but you gotta show me some affection.
I'm a baby. I'll say it for you.
Oh, and I mean more than just sex. You have to
Mhm.
show me like, because I've dated someone and I just felt like he showed no nothing. Like, if I say I love you and I don't hear a response, that pisses me off. Like, you can say
Mm.
I love you too. Don't just start talking about something else, you know? And people talk about, what do they say? Like, what's your love language? For me, it's everything. I need the touch, the acts of service. I need everything. I cannot just have one. I need all of it. And I'm a baby. I need the love, the affection, the attention. I'm not saying all day, every day. I get it. We all need our space. But like, can we just have a moment every once in a while where we just show each other love and affection? Like, am I asking too much, James? I'm not. Honestly, because you gave me that look like,
No, you're not asking too much at all. You're not asking too much at all because let me be real with you. A man is going to do that for a woman that he really cares about. He is going to take the time to see every act of what she needs and take care of it. Now, a lot of times, what men do is our problem is we're fixers. Y'all tell us a problem immediately, we're gonna try to come up with a solution. And where we mess up is y'all not looking for us to come up with the solution. Y'all just looking for us just to listen to y'all and hear y'all out. But for us, it's like we're not trying to hear y'all out. We trying to figure out the solution to figure out how we can get it from part A to part B. Like, okay, bet we see this is going on. All right, what can I do to make you feel better about this? So while I'm off the mic, I guess I can say it's not a red flag for me. It can be, but it's not because it depends on what that person has dealt with in their past as well. because they may
Mm,
have dealt with some past trauma that is not allowing them to really
mm,
connect with you on that level. And if they are dealing with past trauma that is not allowing them to connect with you on that level, then okay, bet, let me show you that I'm here and I'm gonna support you and I'm gonna be right here rocking with you through it all.
mm,
And now, if it's just because you not wanting to show it to me at all, then no, that's a big red flags. But if it's just because of stuff that you've dealt with in your past, where you've been mistreated in your past, maybe you've showed that affection to somebody in the past and it wasn't reciprocated in the right way, and now you are kind of self-conscious about showing it, or maybe you showed it in the past and somebody said you was doing too much.
mm,
So
mm.
what we got to remember is a lot of times how we treat people, it affects how they go into their next relationship.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this as well, I'm not perfect, I'm guilty of this as well, where you have mishandled something for so long and then that person ends damaged and
Mm.
ends up, the next person that gets with them ends up having to pay for everything that another person has done. So we got to be careful on how we handle it. That's it. That's why I said it could be a red flag and then it could not be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, I agree with you, James. It could be a red flag and it could not be. Sometimes I feel like if we're still making our next potential dating person pay for what someone else did, I don't know if we're ready to date. I don't know if we've taken the time to heal from our trauma. I don't know if we've sat, even a lot of people could be against therapy. Oh, Stacy, yeah, absolutely. A lot of people could be against therapy. So if you're not going to a therapist, all right. But if you're not sitting and assessing how this made you feel in a certain circumstance or situation, then I don't think it's right to make someone else pay. I don't think you're ready to even be in the dating game. If you're still dealing with the intense, deep trauma of someone not showing you affection, or like childhood trauma, like your parents didn't show you affection, so you're saying I'm not going to show anyone else affection. That's something to just talk to someone about, right? So we don't have to make anyone pay. And then I'm like, you made such good points, James. Because what if someone has shown so much affection and then someone's like, "Oh, you're doing a lot." That changes you forever, you know. But I always say this: I don't want anyone to pay for what someone else did, and I don't want to pay for what someone else did. You know, I don't
Max.
think that's fair. But it's that awareness, just like when we say about the phone. You're like, "Hey, I get nervous. I get a little, skittish, or I might be on my phone." I think we have to say the same thing to our potential dating partner. Like, hey, I've been through some things in my life. I might not be showing you as much as affection as you want, but work with me, stay with me, make me feel safe and comfortable, all that. And that's the advice I give to men. If you're encountering a woman who's traumatized and you could tell that they're not really giving you the affection and love that you want, like they're like a deer ready to just jump off, right? So make them feel comfortable, secure, and safe, right? Not berating them, not like you better get, or forcing them, you better give me some. No, 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 like ease into it, because that's the quickest way for someone who's been traumatized to clam up, being forced into doing something they're so uncomfortable with, right? If you're called to have patience with that person, right? We're not anyone's savior. If you're called to have patience with that person, then be patient with them, be loving to them, and you'll watch those walls come down, you'll watch those doors open up, because they feel safe, they feel comfortable, and they feel protected. That's the formula right there. You want to see someone give you love and affection and all that, that's the formula. And sometimes we don't see that, or sometimes we get frustrated and we get upset and mad, and it's just like, forget it. You're not showing me what I want. And we don't take the time to say, hey, maybe they did go through something. And if I'm called to stay with them, all right, cool. And if I'm not, then I hope you're able to heal and be better for the next person.
I love it. I love it. And I would have to say, the only thing I would want to add on to that is if you are in a situation where you're not getting the affection that you desire, because I'm always pro, like, I love to see, especially when Black couples are able to thrive. I mean, all couples, but
Yeah.
especially I think that there's always need in our community for us to have that unity and stuff. So I'm always going to, try to find a solution before I tell anybody to run. And I would say if you're not getting the affection and the intimacy and all those things that you want, try to, look at yourself first also too. Make sure that you have an environment that welcomes the things that you're asking for, welcomes the affection. So I know for me, I'm gonna use an example. When I wake up in the morning, I don't think that I'm in a bad mood, but my husband always like, you are not a morning person. Like he steers clear for me in the morning because I guess I give that vibe like, leave me alone, don't mess with me, don't talk to me. Like it takes a little bit of time. And he not gonna give me no affection in the morning because he's pretty much afraid to do it at that time. Anyway, I'm not making an inviting time to do that. So we have to make sure that, and that's kind of a broad example, but we have to make sure, in my opinion, that we're open to it. People always say, oh, men are so visual and this and that. And, I think they are in a way that women, we can't always understand. So a part of that also means, whatever your look is, apparently, your spouse or your significant other, they are attracted to that. Make sure to keep that up, whether it's, um, baggy clothes and they like it, or whether it's form fit, like whatever it is, make sure that you are presenting that because that's going to help keep that going for them too. And sometimes I think you just have to work at it. It's not always a situation where it's easy because life happens and there's so much other stuff going on, and you can easily, I don't want to say forget, but you can kind of forget about the needs of your person, but you have to also be thinking about that too. Like, okay, what is he or she like? What are their needs? And nine times out of 10, that affection and all of those things we talking about, the emotional support is going to be there. And you also have to know, in my opinion, like what the hierarchy is for that person, because I think a lot of times as women, and you guys can chime in on this, but as women, the way you get to the physical intimacy is through the emotional intimacy. Yeah,
Mhm.
you gotta you gotta
Yeah.
go through those channels and connect with us that way before you get to the physical. And I think for men, it might be the opposite. They want the physical part first, and then you get to the emotional. I'm just so yeah, I think it's very important. It can be a red flag, but that's something you also got to work at too. Yeah,
I
definitely.
was just thinking too, and don't throw like celibacy or abstinence in the play. I mean, that's a whole different ball game. Like, I'm, you could intentionally not be showing affection because you don't want anything to spark off. I mean, it's multi-layered, and like you're saying, it's like lock. When you were just talking, BJ, it's like locks and keys. You got to go through these like a video game. Like you have to beat all these levels. Like you gotta get through these challenges to get to the prize.
Right, right.
And it's just a reality.
Yeah, it really is. In all honesty, you have to create that safe space in order for that person to be able to give you that intimacy that you are needing.
Yes, I agree. Any final words? Anybody want to? Any final words that they want to, tell anybody who's in any one of the situations we talked about, or this out there dating period? Look, you got the floor.
I'll go. Okay. I'll go and get out the way. So here's what I would say. It is really good to have a nice team of people around you who love you and will be honest with you, right? Not yes people, but people who are gonna be like, oh, are you not giving them a chance because of this, right? And so when you're dating, right, it's important to have a tribe who you can bounce stuff off of. They're not going to be running and telling gossip and all this, but you're just
Mhm.
letting them check you in a nice, safe place so that you're making sure not to miss out on your purpose partner, on the person you're supposed to be with, right? Or miss out just on good opportunities. And don't ignore your insight. I don't mean your paranoia, I mean your insight. You know what you know. Don't try to convince yourself or kind of, no, don't convince yourself to ignore the red flags. See the red flags, and then you decide, is it something, is it more yellow? Or is it red so I can't go forward? Is it red and we can talk about it? Or is it red and we just can't move on? Like, don't talk yourself out of really paying attention to what you need to pay attention. Sometimes we can be delusional because we just want somebody, but stay focused, have your tribe, your people to talk to, and enjoy dating. It's to be enjoyed, and really, so you could find who you need to find by looking at the red flags and determining what you want. My red flag might not be a red flag for you, and we can't really compare for that either. So it's a personal journey, so enjoy it.
I agree
What
with
she said,
everything
I love
Steph
it.
just said. Yeah, everything you just said. Yes, and a lot of what you said was very personal to me because you said you know what you know. Don't try to talk yourself out of it because I did that a lot. I should have left long ago. I finally did, but it should have been sooner rather than later. But dating, it should be fun, like you said. If it's not, leave. If you find a red flag, I would say maybe communicate with them about it first. But if it keeps happening, just leave. No matter how much you love that person, if they're not willing to change, leave. Because sometimes love is not enough. It's gonna hurt, but just get yourself out of the situation. And it may take a while, but things will get better. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
For me, I think the final words I would give is remember there's a difference between love and lust. Because let's be real, you can lust after what a person looks like. You can lust after what a person is going to look like on your arms. You can lust after the way that a person talks or the way that a person acts. But let's keep it real and all the way 100. In 15 years from now, when those looks have faded away somewhat, is that love still going to be there? You have to picture yourself being with this person past the right now and into the future as well. So you're not dating just for the now. You got to date for the future. And like the comment says, if a person shows you who they are, believe them. If a person is telling you, I don't know how to love, trust them when they say that. Don't
Yeah.
be like,
Yeah.
you know what? No, you just haven't found me. I can show you
Right.
how to love.
Yeah.
Do
Nope.
not do the job of what their parents should have done a long time ago. You
Mm,
can't do that.
mhm,
Oh,
mm.
That's
You
a good
said a
one.
word. Like,
he's
yeah,
preaching.
he preaching. Yeah. Look, guys, I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for, coming together today. I personally feel the conversation is very much needed. Um, we needed to have it and to put the message out there. Um, and if you can identify with some of this, just like Steph said, go ahead and, engage those people, start to get I don't want to say help like you something wrong with you, but start to set things in motion so you can start bettering yourself. Because sometimes, it's us. Sometimes it's us, sometimes it's not. But even if it's not you, it starts with you, because your life really not going to change until you start doing something different. That's just me personally. I always feel like whatever's going on around me, it's up to me to, provoke the change that I want to see. That's just me. So, guys, it's been amazing. I will give me a little time. If you're in the comments and you want to connect with anybody here on the panel today, I will make sure that all of their links are in the descriptions or in the comments so you can easily get to them. Look, you probably don't want to ask me if you need some advice. Go to them because I'm probably going to tell you wrong. But we've got some really good people on the panel. So if you got some questions, reach out to them and me if all else fails. And We love you guys. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.